You know, it's funny. Everyone talks about the price of a home, but almost nobody talks about what it really costs to close. Today, I'm breaking down the actual numbers from three real home purchases right here in Nassau County so that you can see exactly how much cash buyers are bringing to the table in 2025. I'm Seth Baldwin, your Nassau County realtor, and every week I help people just like you buy and sell homes across Nassau County, which include places like Callahan, Fernandina Beach, Hilliard, and even Yulee. If you're thinking about making a move and want a real breakdown of what the numbers would look like, you're more than welcome to give me a call or shoot me a text at 904-734-0380. Or you can schedule a free Zoom consultation using the link in the description. Now, let's pull up those closing statements and walk through what home buying really costs. Okay, so we are currently at our first ALTA here. You can see, if you've never seen an ALTA before, this is a settlement statement. This is on the buyer side specifically. You can see the settlement date here and the location. I have redacted the file number, the property address, and the buyer and seller's names for their privacy. So it's important to remember this side's going to be a debit and this side is going to be a credit. So a credit is anything the buyer receives. The debit is anything that they get taken away, right? So over here, we can see it starts with a debit of $285,000. A deposit is going to be your earnest money deposit or a binder, whatever you prefer to call it, and that's going to be attributed towards your closing cost on the day of closing. It will be considered a credit. You can see here the loan amount is a credit at $279,000, and $279,837, and you can see they received a credit from the sellers here. In the amount of $2,563. It's important to remember that January 1st through December 31st, however many days the seller lives in the house, they will indeed credit the buyer or prorate taxes and credit the buyer. And then here's a title policy adjustment on the title company. We have loan charges, which are going to be loan origination points, origination fee, an appraisal, which is a prepaid. That's why it doesn't have a cost here. You can see it was right here. Credit reports, $97. Electronic registration, $24.95, which is going to be county specific. Maybe it's not county specific. This is federal. Mortgage electronic registration system. Yeah. So loan charges. You can see here we have 1.127% of loan amount, which is your point, which is $355. We have the origination fee to First Look, and then we have an appraisal fee to Daniel Lewis. Now, this appraisal fee isn't going to show a number here. It's because it was a prepaid cost by the borrower. They paid for that out of pocket for the appraisal. The credit report's $97. Electronic registration fee is $24. A flood certification fee is $8. Mortgage insurance premium, because it's an FHA, is $4,812. Prepaid interest from October 24th to November 1st is going to be $375.61. And your impounds here, homeowners insurance, $135.58 per month for 3 months, which is going to be, October, November, and December. There's $406. Property taxes are $262 per month for 2 months because they're paying. They had the prepaid. They had the credit here to the 24th, and then we're getting the property taxes here for $525. And fees. We have the doc stamps. So there is no sales or state income tax in Florida, so we have doc stamps. E-recording fees, intangible tax. You have your title, your lender's policy. Here, endorsement to First Coast, endorsement to First American, endorsement to First American. And then you have another endorsement to First American, and then you have the lender's title policy to First American Title Insurance Company, which is $1,474. The broker transaction fee to Keller Williams, which is $595. Homeowners insurance premium for $1,627, and then property taxes $3,151. So subtotal is going to be $486,090. You can see here that we're crediting the loan amount. Minus the deposit. $300,486. Okay, now that is a debit. Okay, the credit is going to be $286,410. Well, the difference between $300,486 and $286,410 has to come from the buyer, and that's where you can see here due from buyer in the amount of $14,076. And remind you that this is not counting the $2,500 earnest money deposit. So all in all, this is going to cost the buyer in total $16,576.75. $2,500 initially, and then this amount in $14,076.75, and they are now a homeowner. Now, that is for $285,000. Let's look at a $450,000. This isn't really a great example because this buyer brought a substantial amount of money to closing, but we'll go through it anyways. Okay, so this ALTA statement is going to look a little bit different. You can see the last one was just a buyer's settlement statement. This is going to be a buyer settlement and a seller's settlement on the same ALTA. Okay, so remember, credit comes in, debit goes out, right? Buyer, debit goes out, credit comes in, right? So you can see the sales price on the seller side is going to be a credit, and on the buyer side is going to be a debit. Okay, the deposit they brought in was $4,000, and then the loan amount was $251,000. So they brought $200,000 to closing, basically. Title insurance was $2,325 credit on the buyer, and it was a debit in the amount of $2,325 to the seller. County taxes from the 1st to September 30th, $1,426.29. Loan charges to American Funding, which were $48.30. Title closing fee to Titletown was $450, debit on the seller side. And then we have an endorsement on the buyer side, $85, another $85 endorsement, $416 recording fee of $30, and then lender fees in the amount of $125 closing fee to Titletown, and then the lender's coverage premium is $1,334. Seller paid for a title search here, and then a tech fee to Titletown of $20 got charged to the seller. The owner's coverage premium to Titletown was $1,115, and then commission paid out to the buyer side was $11,250 and a $350 transaction fee. This was paid out by the seller to the buyer's agent. Transfer taxes, deed to state, $3,150. There's recording fee to the circuit court for the deed, $190. Transfer tax, $500. Mortgage statement, $881, and then payoff. So you can see here that there was a first position lien in the amount of $184,000, and then there was a second mortgage for $20,000. There's a reimbursement here, another reimbursement here, and then the buyers wanted the windows repaired or replaced, so the seller escrowed this money, $1,400. After paying for the windows, the labor got paid out here. And then you can see property taxes down here for $2,500. So all in all, the seller got credited $450,000, and then they had to pay out $318,113, which left a deficit or net to seller of $131,886. On the buyer side, they got debited the purchase price of $450,000 plus the cost, so it totals up to $457,335. They credited $259,582, and so at closing, due from the buyer or due from the borrower, which is not going to be typical, it was $197,752. It's typical to bring 50% down, but and then this is also not going to be a great example. This is a cash purchase, but it'll give you some of the costs you can see correlated with cash purchases and how much it changes, right? So the seller here, they agreed to a $740,000 sales price. That's going to be the credit again here on the seller side. This settlement statement is going to look much like the last. Seller on one side, buyer on the other side. Remember, debit goes out, credit comes in. Debit goes out, credit comes in. So the credit here to the seller is $740,000. The prorations for the taxes were $4,376, which was going to be a credit to the buyer. And then there was a payoff of $533,000, $533. Stamps in the amount of $5,180, a recording fee on the buyer side, and then we have commissions. We have a listing agent commission, $22,000, and then a buyer agent commission of $18,500. Got a seller closing service fee to Landmark at $150, a buyer closing service fee $495, e-recording at $5, municipal lien search at $95, title search to First American in $85, and then we have a title policy at $3,775. And excuse me, we have a the property taxes to Nassau County, which is $5,914. So we can see here the credit was $740,000. There was a debit, or how much the sellers had to pay out, $583,809, which left a deficit of $156,190. So due to the seller was $156,190. Now, on the buyer side, you can see here they got a credit of $24,376. So their total they had to bring to closing, you can see here, due from buyer, $726,020, and that wrapped that one up. Again, example 2 and example 3 may not be the best examples of what it would take to bring closing call or to bring to the closing table in terms of if you're a first-time home buyer or just looking to bring the minimal down payment. But this gives you a brief idea of different title companies, different fees that are involved, so that you can see. And remember, I want to tell you this, we help families just like yourself day in and day out through Nassau County. So if you're considering selling and you want to know what the costs are going to look like, or if you're considering buying and you want to know what the costs are going to look like, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. You can give me a call or shoot me a text at 904-734-0380, or you can visit the description below this video and you can book a Zoom call with me, and we can walk through this one-on-one and what this looks like based off of your situation. Again, I'm Seth Baldwin, and I'll see you around Nassau County.